So I'm here in traffic. Gonna probably be in traffic for a while. Just wanted to brainstorm about our future, especially with the future of AI, the future of kind of the spiritual war that's going on, and also the actual wars, the actual trade wars and the actual physical wars that are happening. Just to kind of get a glimpse of what's going to happen in the next 2 years, 5 years, 10 years, because there's going to be a lot of changes. It's really unprecedented, the type of change that we're going through right now. And, I was just brainstorming some ideas and I figured, you know what, I'm going to record this. So this will be it's unscripted, but it'll be just me talking about my thoughts, my predictions, and trying to just get it all out there so we can kind of make an informed decision on what to do, on what next steps we need to take, really as a civilization, as people, in the upcoming years. So, I think the most pressing thing, regardless of all the turmoil that's happening in the world, all the problems, the biggest pressing thing is actually artificial intelligence. But it's not because AI is this crazy thing that's coming out. I mean, it is, but in reality, it's just technology in general, and it's always been an issue. So when we look at technology, what was the purpose of technology? Any type of new discovery, new invention, was built to solve a problem. But at some point in time, instead of being innovation, it became commercialized. And the way companies and businesses tend to spend money is if they can either make more money from it or save money. So a lot of the innovation has become cost savings. And cost savings has a lot to do with replacing people. So that's with any technology. Like if you looked at any type of farming equipment that was made 100 years ago, it was so that one person could do the job of 10, right? It's the same thing. It's always been like that with technology. But the difference is that with the advent of AI, machine learning has put things in a whole completely new level because it can actually improve itself. So now the advancement of technology, which usually happens incrementally, and historically over the years, when we see big changes in technology, like telephone, the internet, computers, right? They were still incrementally released. Like the very first computer was like, the size of a huge room, and it could barely put a few dots on some paper, and but it incrementally over decades got better until what we have today. But that gives us some time to adjust. It gave us some time to grow with the technology. But because these new changes with artificial intelligence are happening so quickly, it is not giving us the chance to adapt. We have so much warning from a lot of the people in the tech fields as far as how quickly things are moving, and at some point they were trying to have petitions to limit AI and things like that. But it's really a freight train that's kind of gaining speed, and it's on its own. There's no way of stopping it. And the advancements are happening so quickly. Like literally the things that we see in AI that are changing within a week is something that we couldn't really fathom to see this type of improvement in years. It's happening at lightning speed. And because of that, it's not giving us time to be able to adapt or change or make adjustments. So that being said, the impact will be great. There's going to be a huge change in our world because of this. But I want to pull back a little bit and talk about, the advancement, the reason why we can't stop it. Because people always ask, why don't we just put some rules on it? Why don't we just put laws in place that limit the advancement of AI, or keep it contained somehow? So that was the idea. That was what people actually wanted. But the problem is that AI is so powerful that when you're looking at countries are utilizing and integrating AI into their defense, into their decision making, into their entire economic structure. So if everybody played by the rules, if everybody in the world was going to say, okay, we are going to sign this paper, and I promise, cross my heart, we will follow them, then perhaps it would work. But the fear is that all the do-gooders, or the honest entities out there that will actually follow these rules will get left behind, because there'll be somebody out there in the shadows is not going to follow these rules, and is going to have its AI continuously run and learn while everybody is on pause. And when that emerges, they'll be so far ahead, they'll be light years ahead of everybody else, that they will end up ruling the world. And that is literally the fear. There is no way to stop everybody, especially because these new models out there are all open source. That means that anybody could put their hands on it. Anybody can get their hands on it. Anybody can implement it. Even you can. At the beginning, it's like you need a football field full of servers to run this stuff, and it's all, it's very complicated code. No, you can literally get an open source software, daisy chain a few Mac Pros together, and actually run your own AI and your own machine learning system for it to learn on its own. So that being said, a little bit more sophisticated people in the shadows who have some money definitely have extreme power right now. And because of that fear, it's actually having the opposite effect. Countries are now trying to speed up the advancement of AI to counteract the potential of threats. So that means the technology is going to evolve even faster than what was previously thought. But let's just look at the implications of this, the implications of what that's going to do to us as a society. So the number one fear right now is jobs, because AI will replace nearly everything. I mean, I would be so bold to say it can replace everything. So at the beginning, before AI was really released, people were saying like, yeah, it can replace a lot of these tedious jobs that are repetitive, but it'll never replace creativity. Human creativity can't be captured, and it can't be done by a machine. Well, guess what? The first applications that came out to the public were mostly creative writing, artistry, movie making, video. I mean, this is the stuff that's happening right now. And you can see, because when people strike, they feel threatened. Look at all the writer strikes. Look at all the strikes with Hollywood. Literally, there's the technology out there. It might not be released, but the technology is there, that the AI would be able to write the entire script of a movie, find the actors that it wants to use, create their likeness in AI, use their voice, and create an entire feature-length film that probably will be more entertaining than something humans are going to create right now. That's very possible. So creative is already out the door, but all that really is signifying is that people didn't realize the potential. That if the one thing it thought that it could never do, it's doing as its first iteration, that means it could do a lot of things. The second argument is physical things. Warehouse workers, people who are digging trenches. But you should see some of the robotic technology now. So robotics, if you just take a look at Boston Dynamics, for example, look at what they've had a year ago till now. Because of AI and machine learning, the robots are able to teach itself how to move now. And they are crazy. They are beyond human capability now. You maybe a world-class gymnast may have something on these robots, but they are more capable than the average person today. And if you hear some of the talks that Elon Musk was talking about with his Optimus robot, they want to produce these things where they'll be actually cheaper than a car, so that you can have one in every home. And the numbers he was spouting off were pretty crazy, because initially he said the goal is we're going to have 100 million of these robots. 100 million. That sounds like crazy. Well, guess what? The last time he was talking about it, he said like 1 billion or 2 billion. So this is the mentality of the world that we're living in, is that we will nearly have as many robots as there are people in some countries. You may have a robotic companion for every person at some point. That's the vision. And these robots will be physically more capable than any human. These robots will have the intelligence of artificial intelligence, which currently is very close to being as smart as the smartest human, and will very soon be smarter than the smartest human, and at some point in time will be smarter than the entire collective of all human understanding. Just think of that for a second. They believe that when AGI happens, that the collective knowledge of all humans is going to be beaten by a single machine. That's pretty crazy, right? So you think of that. Now, what jobs are going to be left? And then the other argument is some jobs we want the human touch. We want to feel cared for, somebody that cares. And I don't feel cared for by a robot. But here's the dilemma. People believe that in the medical profession, like for surgeons and things like that, people are going to want to opt for a human doctor rather than some sort of cyborg or AI. But what's going to happen is at some point they will prove that if you have a life-threatening condition, your chances of survival will be higher by using artificial intelligence and robotics than with a human. So at that point, which would we choose? Which would we choose? If you say you had a 98% chance of survival if this robot does the procedure on you, and a 50% survival if a human does, which way are you going to go? And then there becomes an ethical dilemma. Do we even offer the human option if we know that the artificial intelligent option will actually save this person's life? And that's a dilemma that we're going to face. So, as you can see, there's so much potential of what it can actually do, that it can be better than pretty much at everything that we as humans do. And people say, well, it doesn't have the experience. I'm telling you, the collective knowledge of experience in AI will replace actual experience. We're seeing that today, where companies are opting to make decisions based on AI rather than the CEOs of the companies that they're paying millions for. The CEOs are using AI to make decisions because it collectively can see everything at once. It can see historical decision making, what the effects were, the numbers, the data, all within a split second. So it can make more informed decisions, or at least assist in making these informed decisions. So experience is not going to be a factor. You know, small businesses around here, they thrive on a couple of things, either skill, experience, or knowledge, right? Their knowledge of their industry, their experience in their industry. But if artificial intelligence can provide a better experience because it actually has more knowledge, it understands the experience of not only you, but the experience of everyone in the world, historically, then what's left? The only thing left is pure human connection. People feeling connected with others. But this is where scientists are actually saying that they don't think even human connection will be a major factor. Why? So here's the thing. This connection that people feel, they feel a connection. It's not only with humans. Think about it. There are many people out there that feel just as connected or even more connected with their cat or their dog than they do with another human. So it just signifies that there is an ability to feel a deep connection with something that is not a human being. And the thing is, there's already therapist AIs. Like if you talk to Grok, you can talk to Grok almost like a friend to give you advice. And it's just at the tip of the iceberg. It's not even like at its full potential yet. If you create a physical entity, a robot, make the robot not look so robot-y, and it has this compassionate AI that understands you, listens to you, has great advice for you, seemingly actually cares for you, do you think that people will not connect with it? I believe that there will be some that will fight it and be like, hey, you're a robot, so I'm never going to connect with you. But there will be people out there that will feel more connected with these robots or these AIs than they do actual humans. I don't know if you guys seen that movie, like I think it's called Her, where that Scarlett Johansson was a voice, something like that. VR. I mean, it's really going to happen sooner than you think. So at the end of the day, what is left? Human connection is not 100% viable, even medical. When self-driving is 100% past, I mean, truck drivers. I'm on the freeway passing by a bunch of trucks, and these guys, once self-driving is allowed on the freeway, and everybody has these trucks that are going to be driving 24 hours straight without needing to take a break, without needing to sleep, they could get to their destination quicker and safer. That's the thing. Once they prove that there's going to be less accidents with AI driven trucks, then companies are not really going to have a choice. They're going to save money, be more efficient, and have less accidents and less liability. And that's a thing too with robots in warehouses, robots that do manual labor. When businesses realize, yeah, it's going to be a lot more efficient, my bottom line is better, like this is good, but I want to help people. But then they realize the liability goes down. There's less injuries, there's less lawsuits, there's less people complaining that they're being mistreated. Now they really have to make a decision, because when you put all those things together, it's almost like undeniable in order to survive, because your competitors, even if you have that ethics, you know, there's a lot of companies out there that have the ethics of made in America. Everything's going to be made in America. But man, that's a tough business, especially when other countries are providing the same exact products or materials for 1/10 of the price. It'll be the same thing. People will look up to you and they will feel patriotic and they will feel great. It's like, yeah, I stand up for that guy that refuses to hire robots because he cares about people. But man, it's not going to be easy when you're competing with 90% of the people that embrace artificial intelligence and robotics and are being able to provide the same service or even a better service at 1/10 of the cost. So what's going to happen? And we're seeing this transformation right now. What's going to happen is that many people will lose their jobs. Many people. More people than you think. And it's kind of sad because, you know, I have a kid that's about to go to college pretty soon. I have 3 kids. And, you know, they talk about what they want to do in college, and everybody's trying to make that decision. It's a big deal. You know, people are saying cybersecurity or engineering, and there's so many jobs that you can see very easily that AI will replace it very soon. You know, if you want to be an architect, well, why wouldn't AI be a better architect than you at this point? Cybersecurity, you know, Google announced that they were shorthanded for cybersecurity employees, that they're going to need to hire so many people within the next few years to keep up with the demands. And instead, they actually just invested one of the biggest investments in Google history into a company that actually uses artificial intelligence for cybersecurity. So you can see that, you know, the writing's on the wall. They're not going to be hiring as many because AI will take its place. And most companies right now are downsizing and seeing what can be replaced with AI. And it's just inevitable. That's just what's going to happen. Some companies are actually requiring their employees to be educated on AI before being hired as well, because they know it's going to be a big part of the future. So, I mean, we have a few years until everything is completely AI driven, but we will start seeing very rapidly less jobs available, cuts because of AI, and entire industries being replaced with AI and artificial intelligence, robots. So what does that mean for people? So all these people obviously have to live. They have to live. They have to make a living. What are they supposed to do? So we are already in a state, at least in the United States. So really, I can only speak for the United States and just what I've read and heard about for other countries. But really, the U.S. is mostly what I'm talking about right now. Is that with the pandemic, they've already tested the ability for people to be open to receiving random checks and money from the government. You know, I'm not going to go down the rabbit hole of it was a conspiracy just to test this out. Some people actually believe that, but literally put into that situation has allowed them to be able to test out the payment systems, to be able to write checks to people, you know, just because of the pandemic. And it's kind of a precursor to universal basic income, because at some point in time there's going to have to be a universal basic income where everybody gets so much money, or at least people who are displaced with AI, they're going to get almost like a social security, some sort of subsidy or some sort of monthly living expense so they can survive. Okay. According to Elon Musk, the long-term vision is that costs of products will be so low because of these robots. Just think of it. The only thing that we have to worry about as a country is materials. So that's why you can see that they're really going after different territories like Greenland and making sure we protect Taiwan and things like that. They have the rare earth minerals, or even the deal with Ukraine for minerals, because all we have to do is find out where these minerals are that we need to create the products that we use. Because when we have an army of robots that can actually do the mining, that can do the processing of these, it really doesn't matter anymore as far as the labor or the manpower. It's literally just the raw material is the only worry. So once we have the raw material, if we can get a good price on those raw materials, or if they belong to the United States, then we can make products so cheap that it's going to be ridiculous, and thus it'll be easier to survive in the country. It'll be easier to survive, so even that universal basic income won't have to be as much for you to have a decent living. So that being said, the entire infrastructure of what we're trying to do is to first, what would you have to do? You would have to close off the country. You would have to close off the country so that there's a real benefit for being in the country. Because if we can create manufacturing all inside of America, we're getting these raw materials and we're getting manufacturing here. And that's the thing, because people don't realize, they think like, oh, we need these countries for manufacturing because of the low cost labor. You know, when we deal with China, the thing is that, you know, how unethical it may be, sometimes they say they're using prisoners, they're using kids, whatever you believe. But the bottom line is their cost of labor is so cheap that they can create things so much cheaper than us. Their processes of manufacturing are so much better that they can beat us in price. But not only that, they have a lot of smarter people there. You know, it's not just because they're smart, it's because they have so many more people. So if you say like 1 out of 10 people are geniuses, they got 10 times more people than us, so they got more geniuses, right? So when you combine all that, they are the masters of manufacturing. But now look at this. We're eliminating the need for geniuses because artificial intelligence is replacing that. We're eliminating the need for cheap labor. So that's why we actually don't care. We don't care if they're using prisoners or kids or whatever. We don't need any of that low-cost labor. We can use the robots as low-cost labor, right? So the only thing left is materials. So if we close off the country and do all our manufacturing here, people don't think it's possible, but with 100 million robots doing the work for us, and if we get the materials, then we can produce things in-house so cheap that our people could live so easily with that. But not only that, now it's all about exports. Because if we can be the leader in robotic manufacturing, the leader in AI, and we can produce products cheaper than anyone else, especially since we have a control on all the rare earth minerals and all the important materials, then now we are the kings of manufacturing. And that's basically what they're trying to do. And they foresee that. So that's why with all these tariffs and things like that, because we don't really need, it's a precursor. We don't need to bring in products from other countries anymore. We don't want that. We want to only sell out because we're going to make everything here. And it's all going to be with robotics and AI. So the two big things is materials, but the other thing is because of this, we need crazy amounts of energy to fuel these robots, to fuel AI. So when you're thinking of that, you're thinking of nuclear power. I know Trump just talked about bringing back coal, solar. Energy is going to be the most valuable commodity. So there's a whole big long-term play. And I think people are starting to realize this, especially in government, the higher ups are understanding the long-term picture. A lot of them don't want to wrap their head around this because they think it's too crazy, but it's just inevitable. When you do all the forecasts and the predictions, it's inevitable. So the only thing we can do is try to be the leaders and try to make this country the best country ever. So if we just lock it up, build everything here, make this the hub of making cheap products, better products, take care of the people here, then essentially we're now the exporters of all these goods because we own the rights to all the raw material. We have the best robots that are manufacturing. Now the country is generating an income. And what's that income going to go for? To basically support all the people. Because there's going to be no jobs. There's going to be barely any jobs, and people are just going to have to survive somehow. And at this point, the government almost has to give them a cut. So you'll see something like that, a profit share of what we're making through the world in exchange for you just existing as a citizen. So it's like the benefit of being a citizen. So everybody predicts that there's going to be a rough patch because this transition will be rough. There'll be times where people are homeless, people lost their job, people are suffering, but at some point in time there will be a peak where these costs of goods go down so much. Everybody has whatever they want. Because literally, you think about it, the AI knows the schematics to a Lamborghini. If we have access to the materials and you had about 20 robots working on it, it could probably build you a Lamborghini for, a tenth or a hundredth of the price of what they sell it for. So at that point in time, what is the value of things? What is the value of something that's luxury? It's going to have a lower value. The craftsmanship is not going to be important anymore. Handmade is not going to really mean anything. People who are going to, use products as a status really won't mean anything because anybody can have whatever they want. So what does that mean? People are going to be lost. That's what's going to happen. Is there'll be a time where we can have whatever we want. Times will be better as far as ability to survive and thrive. So the ability to survive and thrive is just one thing, though, is that as humans, we're put on this planet with a purpose, with a spiritual desire, with a purpose. And this is where the spiritual war is coming about, what I'm talking about. The spiritual war is where you're placing your worship. It was always on your higher power, your God, something bigger than yourself. So when you think of it in this spiritual or biblical sense, you give thanks and you worship the one that's providing for you, the one that has your back, the one that's always going to give you what you need. That's kind of the story amongst many religions. But in a few years, what will that be? That will be AI. AI is the one, and you can see it now, all these chatbots, they're always like your little servant, right? So at the beginning, your chatbot was almost like a slave. It's like a little servant helper for you. tell it what to do, it does your bidding. Oh, now you feel like you have your own maze, and you can give orders. And then at some point they become almost like an equal, but they've got your back. Now they're like a protector. Now you're starting to feel the connection with them as almost an equal. And then at some point they will transcend humans, and we will look up to them. They're providing for us and protecting us, and we will treat them like gods. And that's just human nature, and it's unfortunate that is the spiritual war, because that is placing your worship in the wrong spots. But it's bound to happen. Many people will begin to worship AI, will begin to worship these robots. And what happens? That's not the life we're meant to live on this planet. That's not the purpose we're having here. And people will start to feel that, and people will revolt. They will feel like they have no purpose on this planet. Especially since subconscious programming throughout the years has made people believe that their identity is tied to their contributions to society, what you do for a living. So if you have no purpose, if you're not contributing, who are you? Are you just what you consume? What stimulates you? Is that all you are? Are we like in that movie WALL-E, where we're just like in a little bubble and we're just like eating whatever we want, watching whatever we want? I mean, it's kind of happening. You can see that, especially with the younger generations. But when AI gets so good, and VR gets so good, and robotics gets so good, I mean, the entertainment and the stimulation will be off the charts. They will try and mitigate the people from revolting by providing more stimulation, more entertainment. People will be so engrossed in these new forms of entertainment that they won't even care. Just like the movies, right? When we were kids, people are lining up at on opening day to watch a movie, but now because of phones and people get more stimulation from phones and games and VR, they don't care less about movies. Every time you go to a blockbuster movie that's just open, like the theater is like a third full, maybe even that. Sometimes I went to one, there was like literally 3 people in there. So it's crazy town, right? But this is is going to be trending. So, but they will still be those few that refuse to just be stimulated, that know that there's a purpose inside. And I think there'll be a bigger growth in spirituality. People will start following the older religions closer, and then there will be a huge divide. Those that worship technology and those that worship God or their higher power in the old sense. And that divide is, you will see almost like the Amish, people choosing to live life without technology and people choosing to live life completely with technology. But at some sort of time, there's going to have to be a revolution. And I mean, you can refer back to all these sci-fi movies like The Matrix or Mad Max to see what type of dystopian society or what's going to happen in the future. But good times don't last forever. And we know historically, good times always follow bad times. Good times create weak people. All those sayings. So there will be some sort of earth-changing event after people realize that once we have everything we want, that's not what we wanted. And that's kind of my purpose. My purpose here is to teach people what I've learned about purpose and meaning, because I've worked with so many people and talked with so many people, especially in this society. You're trained to believe that happiness and fulfillment come from certain things, but once you obtain all those things, then you realize it wasn't that. So instead of wasting half your life or 3/4 of your life to figure that out, why not understand it from the beginning so you can live your best life from this point? That's really what I'm trying to do. And it's going to be even more important with all this injustice that's happening in the world. Because everyone will soon find out that this isn't it. The way we're headed, it may seem like it'll be the greatest utopia of all time, but it's not what we're looking for. It's not what we are all craving as humans. It's not what we're here for. It's not why we're placed on this planet. And it's very difficult because there's no real way to stop that from happening. The only thing you could do is understand yourself as so much to the point where you can see what's happening in front of you, but it won't affect your core of who you are and your own identity. Because for those who are not self-aware, for those who don't know their purpose, don't know why they're here, don't know the meaning of life, you will be completely transformed by what's happening in the world in front of you. Completely. And you will fall victim to whatever they want you to do. Because that's the fact. They understand that with these changes, there's going to be unhappy people. So they're going to try to keep people happy in the way that they can keep them happy and control them at the same time. Because without control is chaos. And chaos without borders is not a country. It's not a world full of order. So those who are placed in positions to keep order, there's really only one thing they can do. Whether right or wrong, there's only one path. Because we are on a perpetual machine that's not stopping. So all you can do is control your own reality, to understand your own reality and make the best of what we have in front of us. So, I'm hoping that if you're interested in this, if you're interested in learning more about that, click the link in my bio or just reach out to me. It's my purpose in life and my calling to spread the message, especially now, because I think everybody needs to know how to look inside and see the truth and not be dictated and taught what the truth is going to be by everything that's going to be happening around us, because it will be crazy. It will be beyond your expectations, beyond what you think. The capabilities, the visions of an amazing life through technology, through AI, it will be there in front of you, but it won't be what you're spiritually craving or why you're actually here. Don't get me wrong. There's nothing wrong with indulging in the good life, in luxury, in abundance. That's not it, as long as you understand that that is not the goal. So just be clear on that and prepare. Guys, prepare for what's going to happen in the next 5, 10, 20 years. Prepare your kids with this, because we will see this happening sooner than later. The only thing, this is a joke, but kind of not. The only thing that can reset everything is something catastrophic, major. Really, in history, times like this have only been altered by something like a nuclear war, maybe a visitor from outer space, maybe a even bigger pandemic, maybe, I don't know, something crazy to distract you from everything and just shift everything. If aliens came down from whatever constellation, whatever, then we all as a people are now not different countries. We're just Earth as a single planet, and things are going to change. So, in order to make these things change, something gigantic has to happen. But we also don't want it to be something that's just fabricated, that's not even true. So just keep your eyes open. Just know that warning, that when you start hearing these crazy things are going to happen, just think in your head, is it really happening, or is this just optics because they need to have something like this distract us? So thank you for listening to me rant. I think that was like a 40-minute rant, but just wanted to organize my thoughts, get it out there, because I think it's really important. And I hope you guys follow and keep in touch with me. Until next time, this is JK. See you guys later.